Alrighty, welcome back to Musical Connections. This is Next to Connect. I'm Zach Snow, and our East Coast Music Award coverage continues with two members of a band who is one of the top bands to come out of Labrador today. They are up for Indigenous Artist of the Year for their album There's No Time, which they worked on with Amelia Curran back in 2022. And they're just about to wrap up a tour that they are doing up in Labrador, their home base. Joining me right now are two of the members of the group Silver Wolf Band. We have Justin Jackman on line one. How you doing, Justin?
Good. How are you?
I am lovely. And on line number two, we have Matthew Barrett. How you doing, Matthew?
I'm doing great. Good to be here with you.
And thank you so much for coming on. Congratulations once again on your East Coast Music Award nomination for Indigenous Artist of the Year.
Thank you.
And you guys most definitely deserve it. I believe you won in 2021 when the East Coast Music Awards took place about 3 years ago. I think they were set to take place in Halifax, then and another wave of COVID came around. And there wasn't really like an in-person ECMAs in 2020 and 2021 up until 2022 when it was in, I believe, Fredericton. Then it was in Halifax last year, and this year it's in Charlottetown. So off the hop here, how does it feel to be up for Indigenous Artist of the Year again for, I believe, this is your third nomination in this category?
I think so, yeah. No, it's great. It's always great to get a nod from the ECMAs. It's to be recognized by all Atlantic Canada. It's always a great feeling for sure.
Yeah, and how about yourself, Justin?
Yeah, it feels great. Same as Matthew. Great to get a nod from the Atlantic provinces for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And just from the amount of nominations that we had from Newfoundland and Labrador, 52 nominations is insane. It is down from 58 from the year before, but it's still a high percentage of nominees from this province, considering that a lot of the categories from the ECMAs in the past are not there anymore.
Absolutely, yeah. It's always it's a great showing from our province. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I want to get into your early days in music. Like, what really inspired you to get into music and pursue it as a long-time career in the first place? So, Justin, I'm going to start with you. What inspired you to get into music?
What inspired me was, I would say, listening actually to my brother, Jamie, and Matthew when they first started their bands when they were in, high school, early high school. And my brother used to play drums. So they used to practice down in my basement. So I would go down and listen to them. And my brother was drummer. So when he wasn't busy playing with Matthew and his friends, I would hop on and just start playing around. And that's how I got my start in music. And that's really so I had my brother and Matthew and them to thank for getting me into it.
That's absolutely wonderful. Now, Matthew, Justin just mentioned that you were in a band in high school with Jamie Jackman, Justin's brother. Tell me a little bit about how you got into music.
I started playing piano when I was really young, probably 6 or 7. So I've kind of been playing music as long as I can remember. But yeah, me and Jamie, we met back in grade 6, I think it was. We were both together in Jamie and Justin, their brothers, obviously. We were in their father's class together. So me and Jamie, we ended up in the same music class and everything. And Jamie didn't play at the time. I played, but he saw me playing and we became good buddies. And then he started learning, and two of us have basically been playing together since junior high, and then up through in different bands and different things. And like Justin mentioned, I think it was in later on in high school that we kind of got Justin started playing with us. So it's kind of been a friendship with all of us, except for Bond now, who's the newest member of the band. But the rest of it's kind of been a lifelong friendship and a musical journey together in a way.
Wow.
We've been playing together since we've been kids, really. So.
That's pretty insane to believe that. I mean, when did Bond join the group?
When would he officially join? Maybe 2019?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. 18.
Because we went to McCovic in 2020, and we would have been in the band then. So I would say he was probably practicing with us since 2018, but formally joined the band, I would say, in 2019.
Yeah, because I believe you came out with an album in 2018, and then Bon, I believe, joined in 19, and he was there for I forget, Storms and Prayers. I think it was 2020's record.
Yep.
That's right. We started recording that record before Bon was in the band. So we started like it came out in 2020, but obviously we started recording it before that. But he joined partway through, so he does make some appearances on that record, although he's not right throughout it. So yeah, you're right. It would have been around then, yeah, and or a little before that he joined, yeah.
So yeah, the Jackmans, Justin and Jamie, and then yourself, you've been playing. I believe you played as a Silver Wolf band. Like I was going as far back as the early '90s as well. And just doing some research here, you guys, your first gig wasn't really the best to begin with, so you're off to a bit of a rough start. So tell me a little bit about those early days playing together as a Silver Wolf band.
Well, I mean, before that, me and Jamie were in other bands and different names, and I mean, we won't get into all these different bands and that, but yeah, we I mean, as any band, I guess you play some rough gigs, and not to say we're out of the woods yet, because you still have some. They're not all great gigs, but for the majority, they're good. But yeah, I mean, we've had our fair share over the years playing to Just the Bartender or whatever else, and we all lived in PEI, me and Jamie and Justin for a while.
Oh
And,
wow!
yeah, we Jamie was going to school out there, so me and Justin moved out, and we started playing from there. And we had a bassist from PEI playing with us, and we at the time we were kind of touring around the Maritimes, and we might play in Halifax or somewhere till 2 a.m. and then drive straight home to PEI to make it to work the next morning and stuff like that.
A lot of learning experiences then, wasn't it?
Hey, bye.
Oh man, we were young and crazy, but I feel like part of what happened back then is like we were young and not. I mean, we're still not crazy old or nothing, but we're certainly getting older. But I feel like when we were in PEI, we weren't in our home base and we didn't really know who we are, and we were trying to be and sound like all the other bands around there and trying to fit in a way. But yeah, so when we finally got back to Labrador, I feel like our roots kind of settled in a little better, and we kind of it made more sense for us. But yeah, after we were living in PEI, we all kind of went separate ways for a number of years. So we actually unofficially sort of broke up. Not that we said we were broke up, but we didn't play together for what, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
Justin,
you're on
maybe?
you're on a
Yeah, I'd say
hiatus.
we're
Yeah.
definitely on hiatus. I say we took a break and we started noodling around again, maybe 2015, and started taking it a little more seriously in 16, 17, and I believe Pockets came out in 18. So yeah, I'd say 2015 is when we first kind of looked at each other and figured out what we're doing. We're all here in the same hometowns, so we might as well just start playing again because we all loved it. So yeah.
Well, we were hanging out, and we were still all good buddies, living in the same town. And after a while, I was like, "Why the hell aren't we playing music? What are we doing?" you know?
But sometimes you got to go through those experiences to realize, what you have, and eventually, like, if you want to like get that back, you're gonna have to go through those journeys to get to a point where you're saying, "Hey, we can take this a little bit more seriously now because we probably didn't take it seriously back then. So let's give it another try and see how it goes."
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like before then we maybe we took it a little too seriously and we weren't in our groove. And then when we came back, that hiatus we kind of realized that we needed to settle in and recognize that yeah, we're a Labrador band from Labrador, so let's start writing songs and celebrating the fact that we're from Labrador. I think that's what happened, and that's when I think we all really felt comfortable and well, we didn't stop. So
That's awesome, guys. Now, of course, when it comes to Labrador music, you look at some of the biggest names that came out of there: Shirley Montague. You look at Harry Martin, Gerard Mitchell, yourselves. It's a great list. Now, my knowledge of Labrador music is not really as well versed as like guys like yourselves, where you guys grew up there and really listened to these bands. So, tell me a little bit more about some of the influences that really make up the sound of the Silver Wolf Band.
I mean, our influences come from a huge, wide range of artists, of course, but obviously not just Labrador music. But yeah, when we're talking about Labrador music, I would say that Harry Martin is probably one of the biggest influences on us, especially on, I would say on Jamie. Jamie's kind of the main songwriter or lyricist in the band. And I think he draws a fair bit of inspiration from Harry Martin. Harry Martin's kind of like, I don't know, in a way, he's kind of like the Ron Hines of Labrador or something, like,
Well
but
put.
yeah. But yeah, he's an amazing songwriter, and we've been lucky enough. Both me and Jamie used to play in Harry Martin's band for a couple of years.
No
Harry's kind
way.
of backed away from it a little bit now as he's getting older, but Harry's kind of give us his blessing to play any of his songs, to record any of his songs. So I always ask him to make sure, but he always says it. Boy, anything you want to record of mine, go for it. So we have done that, and we see every album, the last few, and I'd say probably coming up again. Like it seems like we always end up putting at least one Harry Martin song on there and putting our own twist on it. But
That's awesome, guys. I never knew you guys played in Harry Martin's band. So, what's it like working with someone who's really, helped shape Labrador music to what it is today, like Harry Martin?
that was really an honor. I mean, both Jamie and I, it was probably a couple of years we played with Harry. The last couple of years that he was active at all, we were playing with him, and he up until I played with him, I don't think he usually had a piano in his band, so it kind of gave a little different twist to his music live. But yeah, it was very humbling. Like we always looked up to Harry in a big way, and just to get to know him, and he's just a really down to earth, amazing guy. Who the amazing thing about Harry too is that his music has over the years had a great reach, and he probably could have done a lot more with his music career if he had wanted to. And a lot of people kind of pushed him to go further, but he just wanted to be home in Paradise River and little tiny town of Labrador. Like he said to me before, it's like, well, if I'm out on the road, who's going to cut up the wood, or who's like that? That's what was makes him even more amazing, that he wrote these amazing, beautiful songs and they've had such far reach, and he just wanted to be home. And he's that's what he loved most. And that's what his songs are about, really, for the most part too. So
Yeah, totally. And he really is one of the, like you said, he's the Ron Hines of Labrador music. So when it comes to your Indigenous roots, of course, you've been up for Indigenous Artist of the Year at the ECMAs 3 times. You've won pretty much almost all your nominations when it comes to the Music and L Awards. How proud are you guys to have to be Indigenous, and especially as well be here, be from Labrador?
I think to the Labrador piece for us is kind of, in a way, it's kind of unique. Like anytime we go anywhere or play anywhere, and that's Justin kind of mentioned that earlier. Like we kind of embrace and write about where we're from and our culture and all these sorts of things. But we've kind of realized over the years and playing all different places that we were trying to get away from that for so long that really that's what people find interesting about us. And that's probably the coolest thing about us is this little spot that we're from that's kind of unique and kind of got its own culture and its own way of life, so.
Yeah, is there anything you wanted to add to that, Justin?
No, a lot of great points there by Matthews. Fine when you play away, you quickly find out coolest thing about you is that you're from Labrador. So it means a lot when it's recognized, and yeah, it feels good coming from Labrador.
Now, of course, when it comes to the Newfoundland and Labrador music scene, you hear a lot of acts that come from the rock here in Newfoundland, but you don't really hear much coming out of Labrador. I mean, aside from yourselves and just names that have been in the scene for many, many years, who are like veterans or established legends at this point, you don't hear much coming out of Labrador. Just from my point of view, I don't know if that's the same. You guys feel the same way that I do, but just what do you feel needs to be done to help more of those artists come out of Labrador, help really get more exposure out to the general public? So what do you feel needs to be done there?
It's tough being an artist in Labrador. I mean, Newfoundland, anywhere, it's not easy, of course, but
Yeah.
Just to mention, I know you said that you don't know of many coming out here, but there is, if you haven't heard of them, you should look them up. Tarmageddon, they're a band in Labrador City,
Yes,
and they've been,
yes.
Yeah. So they're starting to make a bit of noise, and they're starting to play around a bit. And I think their lead guitarist was living in Toronto and playing. Had a fairly successful music career out there for a while, and he's from Labrador City, so he moved back during COVID. But I think they've been out to Ontario a few times playing and stuff too. And yeah, so they're worth checking out for sure. Not to say there's not other acts. There's great acts here in
Oh
Goose
yeah.
Bay and all over. It's just, I think one of the huge challenges with Labrador is that I know Newfoundland is isolated, but you kind of take that and amplify it even more in Labrador. So I think the fact that we're so isolated and traveling out of here is so difficult. Like for us to drive to Newfoundland is, well, you've got ferries and it takes a very long time to say get to St. John's or to get to anywhere. So usually we're flying places if we're playing gigs, and for four of us to fly somewhere, you're looking at close on $4,000 just to get out of Labrador. So I,
Jesus.
I think, yeah, it's crazy. So I think there's just a lot of hurdles and obstacles on the ground just to get out of here. So it's not that there's not a lot of great acts in Labrador. It's just that people find it difficult or don't even know how to start to try to play outside of Labrador. I think that's probably some of the biggest challenges.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially like yeah, coming back and forth to Newfoundland and Labrador, like from Labrador to Newfoundland. I totally agree with you. Even though I haven't really like been through that myself. There is that challenge of just getting there. Period.
Yeah.
Is a big challenge. But do you feel like there's you think there should be like a representative to like help like be like a liaison between the musicians and the professionals in between say Newfoundland and Labrador?
Yeah, and there's a lot that could be done, and I mean, this is a huge conversation, or it can be. But I know Arts NL and Music NL both have different funding for travel, and they do the best that they can. I really think they do, and I know they've both increased travel funding over recent years. And then sometimes for more isolated regions like Labrador, there's a little more available sometimes, but still, I mean, it's often not nearly enough to cover the costs. So I mean, obviously, more funding options would make it easier, but I also think uh, if we could have some sort of committees or different groups maybe of artists in Newfoundland and Labrador, not only to get Labrador artists to Newfoundland, but something I've always talked about is like we should have the common goal to get Labrador artists to Newfoundland, but also to get those Newfoundland artists to Labrador, because there's a whole circuit up here that can be played as well, missed by Newfoundland artists too, but it's just that barrier of getting from here to there and there to here. So
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
definitely worth. Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about this with Adam Baxter on a previous Next to Connect, and he's talking about how like there's a lot of great acts coming out of Central Newfoundland, and he says there are some barriers there to help get musicians out there from Central Newfoundland on a wider scale, and especially that's really amplified by 10,000 when you compare that Central Newfoundland to a region like Labrador, because when you look at St. John's, like take your pick when it comes to the music here, even going through Mount Pearl and Paradise. But Labrador, yeah, absolutely. There's definitely things that need to be done, but of course, Music NL really has come a long way when it comes to developing the music scene here in Newfoundland and Labrador, and that's a credit to Nigel Jenkins and also your manager, Mary Beth Waldrum.
And that's why too. I'm always careful with that discussion. I don't want to ever put down Music NL or Arts NL because I think they're both doing wonderful work, and they're limited by the funding that they receive anyway. So I never ever pointing a finger at anyone like that when having those discussions. I just obviously there can be more, and everybody always wants more available to do more things, of course. But for us, like traveling from Goose Bay out is hard enough. But then if you look at the coast, so we're doing a little tour there of the North Coast. Say if there was a band in Nain, for them to get to Newfoundland, first they got to fly to Goose Bay, which is probably about the same as it costs us to get out of Goose Bay to Newfoundland. Then they got to fly from Goose Bay to Newfoundland, so you can double their costs if they were to try to do it. So it is pretty crazy when you think about it, for sure.
Yeah, but also too, like it's not really necessarily like putting people down. It's also just like getting your opinions out there and getting them heard. Because who knows who may hear this, say like a week or month or a year down the line and think, maybe we should consider that down the road and get better options to help make Labrador artists not feel so isolated. when it comes to getting your music out there on a wider scale.
Sure.
Now, of course, I mentioned Mary Beth Waldrum. She has become your manager of the group, and so what's it like working with someone like Mary Beth Waldrum?
You want to take this, Goose?
You work with her more than I did.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
okay. Sorry, I call him Goose. That's his nickname. I should have said Justin. But
Oh, geez, I didn't even realize you said that. All I can basically say is that she's been absolutely great and took a lot of weight off of the band's shoulders that we don't take for granted. So she's been absolutely wonderful, and she's not just our manager; she's one of our best friends for sure.
So, how important are managers to bands like yourself? Because a lot of times these days, when it comes to managing, it's pretty much a DIY kind of thing.
we did it ourselves for a long time, and it's just especially talking about just in being a band from Labrador, we're always looking for and applying for grants, whatever funding we can find. So having someone to line that up to help with that side of things and to know what grants are coming and what we should be applying for is just huge, really, because that without the different funding opportunities through some of the groups we mentioned, like we wouldn't be able to do half of what we do, or not wouldn't be able to do any of it, really, So
Absolutely. Now, of course, your most recent album that came out was 2022's "There's No Time," and it's been up for Music NL Awards and East Coast Music Awards, especially the Indigenous Artist of the Year. This is your third time being nominated for it, and this one is a very special one for you guys because you got to work on this with a Newfoundland and Labrador singing-songwriting legend, Amelia Curran, who has really taken on a more of a production role ever since her last album in 2017, Watershed. But I think it was one of Amelia Curran's first projects as a producer. So tell me a little bit about what it was like to work with someone who has the reputation of an Amelia Curran.
Yeah, it was pretty great. I mean, once we were all fans of hers and we all look up to her. So to work with someone like that was amazing. She's a brilliant songwriter. So although we're like a full band, I know sometimes we're referred to as folk rock, but really we're kind of a rock band in a way. But we're still kind of like a songwriter kind of band. You know what I mean? We focus a lot on the songwriting and lyrical content and this kind of stuff. So for someone like Amelia Curran to come in, who's writes such amazing songs and lyrics, that was really an honor for us to work with someone of her caliber.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead, Justin.
I was just going to say she was absolutely great. And I didn't take too deep of a dive into her before because when they mentioned her, I was like, who's that? And then after I went back and I listened to some of her music and I was blown away and almost starstruck there for a bit. But then working with her, she's so down to earth and she's so friendly and she almost makes you she's almost like a mom to the band when you're working with her. she's so nice and it was a absolute honor to work with her and hope to do so again.
Now, this actually leads into my next question. I was talking with Nigel not too long ago, and I believe, I should mention too that you guys are now under the Laughing Heart Music roster. You're also on the roster with the likes of Ron Ragged, Kelly McMichael, and Ruben Rake. And Mary Beth Waldrum is also part of the Laughing Heart Music roster as a production manager, I believe it was. And I believe she went across the province to all the various venues to develop a new Newfoundland and Labrador venue database, which Mary Beth, if you're listening to this and if you're watching this, come on the podcast. We'll talk all about it. But back to what I was saying about the new music. Any updates on that you can let our listeners know about?
Yeah, so we just finished working on a new single that's going to be coming out, and we worked with Robert Kelly on the single out in St. John's there. So we're hoping within the next couple months. We don't have a set date, but hopefully sometime April or May, the single will come out. It's called Willows and Sand. And hopefully we're hoping this will be the first single of many to come out for, we're hoping to record another full album soon and work with Robert and hopefully Amelia again. We've been chatting with both of them, and it seems like everyone's on board. And yeah, just you mentioned Mary Beth and the database. So yeah, she came to Labrador as well with that, and I think work like that too is that's a way of bridging those gaps of for Newfoundland and Labrador artists too that we were talking about for sure. Not to change the subject, but just I had forgotten about that, and yeah, it's great work they're doing for sure.
Oh no, absolutely, and especially like having people like Nigel Jenkins and Mary Beth Waldrum in our province really doing the work to help improve Newfoundland Labrador. The Newfoundland and Labrador music sector, not just when it comes to the opportunities, but also like breaking down those barriers to help artists like yourself make it easier to come here to Newfoundland, and in return, Newfoundland artists come to Labrador.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, of course, the East Coast Music Awards are taking place May 1st to 5th in Charlottetown. I would imagine you guys are going to be down there celebrating some of Atlantic Canada's best musicians. There's also the Canadian Folk Music Awards coming up in April. And then, of course, you guys are going to be you guys are just wrapping up a tour throughout the part of Labrador, the north coast of Labrador, you just said. What else is next for the Silver Wolf Band?
I don't know. Just keep trucking. But yeah, well, new music for sure, and we're kind of looking ahead to maybe nothing set in stone, of course, but possibly another provincial tour in the fall sometime. Yeah, so just recording more music and doing more shows. We're trying to, although we're working with Robert and Amelia, and we want to keep doing so as well, but we're actually trying to record some demos ourselves from home in Labrador. We're trying to get some more gear that we can do some stuff from here too.
Yes, I've seen that on Instagram.
Yeah, so we're experimenting with a bunch of stuff lately. We're trying to really, we're just having fun lately. I feel like we're trying to revive that excitement that, like, we're trying new things we haven't done it before or in a while. So we're kind of trying to find the love for it again. Not that we lost it, but just trying to get the excitement back. And I think we're doing that. We're just experimenting and seeing where things go, and yeah, just keep on going.
Absolutely. Now, for people who want to find out more about the Silver Wolf Band and what other shows you're going to be doing and what new music's going to be on the way, where can they go to?
Everything is on our website, silverwolfband.com, for the most part, I think.
And you can keep up with us on Instagram and Facebook. We're active on there almost every day. But yeah, silverwolfband.com, they can find our dates and what's coming out.
Awesome, guys. Well, Justin, Matthew, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the Musical Connections podcast. I've been wanting to get you guys on for a while, but our schedules really didn't align, and I don't know if the timing just didn't work out, but thankfully we got on this time, and hopefully I'll have you guys back on again to talk about the new songs and a new album set to come out sometime this year. So Justin Jackman, Matthew Barrett of the Silver Wolf Band, thank you so much for joining me on NextIIConnect. You have a wonderful day, and congratulations once again on your ECMA nomination, and best of luck with what's to come in the year ahead.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you so much.